The following segments are pre-recorded and sponsored by Longworth Productions.
Meet the President on Triad Today. Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Triad Today, coming to you once again from the beautiful Senior Botanical Garden in Kernersville. We'll tell you more about them later on, and later on is when the roundtable shows up and we'll get into all sorts of controversial topics with them, so stay tuned for that. Between now and then, some great guests, important information coming your way, but where we want to start is welcoming a new visitor to the show and new to his job, not to education, not to his field, but to his particular job. We're talking about Dr. Ken Engel. He's president of Alamance Community College, and we welcome you.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Thanks for being here. Now, let's tell me a little about your background, or where you were born, and where you went to school.
Sure. So I am not a native of North Carolina, although I've been here for 30 years. So North Carolina is absolutely home.
Right.
Originally, I was born in the booming metropolis of Cleveland, Tennessee.
Okay.
In the edge of the Tennessee mountains, and with my father's work, we moved around a bit as a young person, and landed here a number of years ago, and just have enjoyed North Carolina ever since, and can't imagine being anywhere else.
Yeah, and my wife and her dad wanted me to make sure to say, and thanks, Doc, for going to NC State University.
Absolutely.
They're doing well these days.
They are. I'm certainly hopeful Thursday and Friday go well.
That's right. Now, tell me something. Who or what led you to want to go into the education field? Was it somebody in your family? Was it a teacher that inspired you? What about that?
I would say my mother and my younger brother are both teachers, and I'm incredibly proud of the work that they do. They're two of the most wonderful people that I know. But my background is actually in technology. And so for many years, I worked in the technology field and transitioned to education about 18 years ago, leading technology efforts for a community college. And very shortly after going to Central Piedmont Community College, fell in love with the mission of the community college.
Right.
And I had a community college experience myself. My wife is a graduate of a community college. And now my son attends community college while finishing high school. So
you're a good
it's part of our blood.
You ought to do a commercial just all about, successes from community college.
Absolutely.
Hey, let's talk about what attracted you specifically, because there's lots of options that you had. What attracted you to Alamance Community College? I mean, so there's neat things going on there, or what drew you there?
I tell you, Alamance Community College was incredibly attractive because of a number of factors. First and foremost, the people of Alamance County. Whenever I had the opportunity to come and interview during the interview process, just getting to meet the different individuals who lived in our community, who were leaders in our community, who worked at the college, made it very obvious it was a wonderful place to be. Before that, looking at the area that we're in, sitting between Greensboro and Durham and Raleigh, and the work that's happening in Burlington itself along the I-85 and I-40 corridor, it was just a tremendous growth area, not only economically from a workforce and business standpoint, but population standpoint. So it seemed like a really good place to have impactful work that we could do.
And speaking of that, with economic development and others, the Alamance is in a position, and you are, to really sort of affect and recruit, in a way, new businesses, as well as helping those who are already here, right?
Absolutely. I think the community college plays a key part in economic development holistically. Our job is to connect the community to the workforce and be that bridge in a lot of ways between the employers and businesses that want to either be in our area, relocate to our area, or grow in our area, and those individuals who live in our community that are looking for great jobs that help their family sustain, a lifelong learning and a wonderful wage that helps them continue to succeed.
And you're helping the graduates get ready for going directly into a job in the region. It could be something in the aerospace industry or whatever they want to go,
Absolutely.
or technical jobs or whatever, photography, whatever it comes up, they want to do. And it's not like that they hit the ground running coming out of Alamance, don't they?
Absolutely, they do. And, that's the great thing about community colleges is if a student comes to our college and they're looking to work in the automotive industry as a mechanic, or they want to be a welder, we can immediately help them get the training and education that they need to go directly into the workforce. At the same time, if they want to go to the wonderful NC State University or to UNC Greensboro or Chapel Hill, any of the wonderful four-year partners we have in the state or around the country, we can help prepare them for that transfer process as well.
All right, up on the screen, alamance.cc.edu is the general website, which I hope everyone will check out and tell you all about offerings there and programs, and I hope you will do that. And Dr. Engel, Ken, I hope you will come back and visit with us again.
I would be happy to. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
Spartans are the teachers, artists, nurses, scientists, and leaders who build our communities.
Back now on Triad Today, and we have a special first-time visitor to the show, and she's made some time for us today, which we appreciate because she's very busy, helps a lot of people. We're with Dr. Michelle DeWitt. She's a neurological surgeon for Novant Health Brain and Spine Surgery in the High Point office. Good to see you.
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me today.
What kinds of neurological problems do you deal with, and what's your area of expertise? So help me understand that.
Sure. So I'm what's called a general neurosurgeon, meaning that I do both brain surgery, spine surgery, and some peripheral nerve surgery. So I can do some of it all.
All right. Now, if I'm having pain associated, let's just take the spine for a minute. If I'm having a lot of pain, how do I know if I need to see a surgeon or if I just need to see a pain specialist? I mean, how do you know?
So it's tricky to know, is the honest answer. What I usually urge patients to do is to start with their primary care doctor. For example, say you had left arm pain. Is that coming from your shoulder? Do you have a shoulder problem? Is it coming from your spine and the neck? The primary care is a great start. They can do an evaluation and say, I think you need a neurosurgeon. Why don't we start with pain? Maybe you also need to see an orthopedic shoulder surgeon.
And then suppose maybe I go to a pain specialist at some point. Do you work folks in your profession, you specifically, do you work pretty closely with pain specialists in Novant or what?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's one of the strengths that we have here is that I'm in very close collaboration with the pain management doctors. So when we get referrals, say I may get a referral, I'll review the chart and say, looking at everything, I think they may be better suited to start with pain management, and then they'll start there. The reverse will also be true. And if there's a concern, even that same day, we'll reach out to each other that same day and say, can you take a look at this? I think maybe this patient who came to see me in pain might be more appropriate for you as a neurosurgeon.
Right. Now, what about over the years, how has spine surgery, for example, changed, or has it changed? I mean, there have been new techniques, new procedures, anything we should know about?
That's a great question. The answer is spine surgery has significantly changed, not only over its history, but also in the last 20 years. There are new techniques, for example, in the neck. In the right patient, sometimes we do a disc replacement rather than a fusion to try to prevent the need for further surgery. There's also other different approaches. For example, let's talk about the low back. Traditionally, we went through the back to do our surgeries.
Right.
Still can be a great option in many scenarios, but there's also techniques where you can go from the front and go from the side. And by having different options and some minimally invasive options, it gives like myself as a surgeon more tools, so that way if you have, say, that a low back problem that needs surgery, I can customize from all the options that I have to make a surgery that's right for you.
Yeah, and less scary and less invasive, maybe, in some cases. Hey, we didn't rehearse this or anything. I'm just curious, since you and I just met for the first time. Sure. Who or what maybe influenced you to go into the healthcare field? Was there a doctor or a nurse in the family or a teacher that suggested you be good at it? What?
Sure. So I don't have any doctors in my family, although many of my relatives are nurses. So there's definitely that interest in healthcare and helping patients. My father had a friend who was an anesthesiologist, and I remember talking to him when I was younger, and we were talking about, surgery, and I remember thinking, and I was quite young at the time,
right,
but I remember thinking, wow, that sounds like a really interesting job, and I think I could really help people if I did that. And the way I like to say it is, I never found a reason to change my mind.
Oh, isn't that great? And how old were you then when you sort of...
About 6 or 7.
Get out of here.
Yes,
really? And it stuck with you?
It stuck with me.
Well, there are a lot of people you've helped that are glad that it stuck with you. Up on the screen, I want to put novonhealth.org up there. And if you want to get to Dr. DeWitt directly, I believe the High Point office number is 336-481-8670. Doc, I appreciate you coming by. Will you come back sometime?
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me.
All right, thanks. We'll be right back after this. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you that Triad Today is now streaming on WFMY Plus, available free on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. Back now on Triad Today, I'm excited about having this guest. She is really something special. Stephanie Martis is now the Assistant Chief for the Greensboro Police Department. Joined the force in 2002, promoted to Chief last year. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for being here.
It's my pleasure.
Who or what inspired you to go into law enforcement, and at what age? Was it somebody said something neat to you in grammar school, or maybe you had a police officer in the family, or, I mean, when did it hit you?
Well, to be honest, I never planned on being a police officer until my adult years. I'm a product of my father was one of the first African-American police officers in Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
And my mom, she's a nurse at the jail, at the Hillsborough County Jail. And so I wanted to pursue a career in medicine, actually. I was a biology chemistry major in college. But I think the foundation of growing up in a family of public servants.
Good role models.
Good role models. And so I knew I wanted to be of service, and I knew I wanted to do something impactful.
Right.
Never crossed my mind to be a police officer.
Did you really start thinking about it seriously once you got to Bennett College, or when did you really start?
No, once I graduated from Bennett College with a biology degree, it's just, I think the profession found me. And I said, you know, what do I want to do with my life? Do I want to go to medical school? What do I want to do? And so it's just by a whim, I said, you know what, I'll apply to Greensboro Police Department.
Right.
I'm the youngest of 13 kids. And so my family definitely wanted me to come back to Florida after I graduated college. And I'm an independent spirit. So I said, okay, I'll fill out an application at the Greensboro Police Department, and I'll fill out an application at Tampa Police Department.
Okay.
I filled out both applications.
Right.
And I submitted my application in Greensboro, and I never mailed off my application for Tampa Police Department. And 22 years later,
well, I'm going to tell on you now. It's a matter of public record. Hey, look, you talked about the police academy. Mm-hmm. We've gone through a period of time during COVID, and a lot of other things happened, whether it was George Floyd, anything, where people were more reticent to want to join the police force. But I think you're encouraged by some things recently with the Greensboro Police Academy. How so?
Well, we have made progress leaps and bounds with our recruiting and retention. For the last 3 years or so, we've really been impacted by officers retiring or just leaving the profession altogether, and coupled with just a disinterest in wanting to become a part of the law enforcement community. But over the past couple of years, we have really seen a tremendous change. We've just sat about 36 recruits into our academy that just started last week.
Wow.
And of those 36 recruits, we had about 27% female sitting in that academy.
I want to ask you about that.
Yes.
Now, what is this? You emailed me something about a 30 by 30 program. What is that?
It's a 30 by 30 pledge. It's a national pledge where we have law enforcement agencies across the country who are striving to have, by the year 2030, striving to have at least 30% demographic of female in that profession.
Right.
So we are well on our way. Greensboro Police Department, we are above the national average. The national average is around about 12, and we're sitting almost at 20%. And
I think that's great because, you know, we talk so much about diversity. People say, oh, Jim, you mean a black and white officer? I don't know. Wait a minute. Let's don't forget that women are a group that we really need to bring into the fold, right?
Absolutely. And it matters. Representation matters in every aspect of society. And I think it's progress when you have a law enforcement agency that is a reflection of the community. Greensboro is a vibrant and a diverse culture, rich history. So I think it fosters trust and partnership when we have a police department that actually reflects the population. Yeah, absolutely.
We're almost out of time. Tell me something. What about challenges going forward for you and Chief Thompson? Give me an example. What are our challenges?
The rise in violent crime, continuing to fill the seats in the academy so we can actually have full capacity with our man and woman power to actually have proactive
Right.
assignments. So we're not just going from call to call to call.
Right.
So
Got to have the numbers
yeah,
to do it.
absolutely. So we're trying to get the word out. We're hosting a hiring event April 20th at the Police Training Center off of Church Street.
Okay.
So if you have anyone has any questions, they can go to gpdcareers.com.
Okay.
And
gpdcareers.com. Because there's also a p2c.greensboro-nc.gov. That's a good general.
Absolutely. You can send emails and inquiries to that email as
All right.
well.
Chief, I appreciate it. Will you come back sometime?
Absolutely. Thanks for having
And
me.
tell Chief Thompson I said, hey.
I sure will.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll be right back after this.
North Carolina's economy is growing, bringing new businesses and opportunities. The need for electricity is growing too. At Duke Energy, we're meeting the challenge, providing even more electricity that's cleaner, reliable, and that stays affordable. We're getting out of coal and reinvesting in our communities with a diverse, balanced mix of energy sources and making targeted upgrades to the grid so that North Carolina can thrive in a smarter energy future.
Back now on Triad Today. Always glad when we can spend a few minutes with some of the good folks from Duke Energy. And this particular time, my good buddy, Jimmy Flythe, who's Director of Government Community Relations for Duke Energy, brought along a special guest of his own, Jamie Myers, Executive Director of Piedmont Environmental Alliance, and welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Jimmy, let me start with you. Earth Day is just around the corner. Now, how is Duke Energy involved in that, and why is Jamie here?
Yeah, great. Yeah, well, we're going to celebrate Earth Day at the Earth Day Fair that Piedmont Environmental Alliance puts on. And we've got a couple other events that I'm going to do as well. But we'll be sponsoring, hopefully co-sponsor that with Piedmont Natural Gas. And as one of the sponsors, as Jamie may share, plenty of sponsors.
Right.
And then Duke Energy also provides a grant to the Piedmont Environmental Alliance for education.
That's right.
And so they kind of come together with the timing in April, and I thought it'd be great to ask Jamie to join us.
Jamie, bring us all up to speed. Now, what's the mission of the Piedmont Environmental Alliance?
Well, of course, we all care about protecting the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, and the climate that we live in. And so Piedmont Environmental Alliance is really the local organization working on education programs, events, and action to make sure our community is prepared for a healthy and sustainable future.
Yeah, we'll give another plug for Earth Day in a minute, but let's talk about this education thing. What kind of an education program or programs do you do? If you want to give an example, what are you talking about?
Well, I'll talk about the one that is sponsored by Duke Energy, thanks to this wonderful grant. We actually go into local classrooms. We work closely with Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools to teach 7th grade students about where our energy comes from, why it matters, and how we can conserve energy in order to protect our climate and our pocketbooks.
And what kind of feedback do you get from going in and doing those?
Students love it. So I always say we travel heavy, instead of traveling light. When we go into the classroom, we bring a bike so kids can ride a bike and light up different kinds of light bulbs to really understand that it takes more energy to power, an incandescent light bulb as opposed to something that's,
any other
LED or any other kind. So
right. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just wondering that you want to mention maybe one other program or anything that people might not know about?
Yeah, well, the big one that I think we're going to talk about today too is Earth Day Fair, of course.
Absolutely.
Did you know we had the largest Earth Day celebration in the state of North Carolina?
I didn't know that.
Right here in Winston-Salem, and it's coming up on April 20th at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds.
Now, what are we going to see at this? What's going on?
Everything you could be interested in. So for families, we've got kids activities, we've got live music and food trucks, we've got demonstrations so you can learn how to have compost at your home. You can check out all sorts of critters in our critter tent. And if you're interested in purchasing an electric car or thinking about it, we'll have tons of cars you can look at. If you're interested in what actions you can take in your home, there'll be all sorts of demonstrations about things like solar panels and insulation and different ways you can make environmentally friendly choices. So really something for everyone.
And really making people aware of that. We didn't rehearse this or anything, and not to embarrass Jimmy or the folks at Duke Energy, but how important are grants like that to help you sustain your mission?
So important. Of course, we need support from the whole community to do the work that we do. And so grants from corporations as well as individuals who make choices And just having people come out and enjoy our programs is a great way to support
It's going to be great. Up on screen, I want to make sure we see this. Piedmont Earth Day Fair, that again, as Jamie mentioned, Saturday, April 20th. That's 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds. Now, you can find out more general information about the Alliance at peanc.org. Hope you will check that out. And also a shout out to the good folks here at Duke Energy by going to duke-energy.com. Jimmy, any final thoughts on this?
And I'd just ask you to come visit us. We're going to be at Earth Day Fair, Duke Energy and Piedmont Natural Gas, promoting some of our renewable energy programs that customers can sign up for to kind of help us transition to cleaner energy. And I'll be there to talk to about any questions that you might have related to our transition to cleaner energy. Will there be
any food there?
There'll be food, there'll be activities. Actually, one thing I forgot to plug is families with students K through 12 can submit a piece of artwork that will be decorating the fair, and we'll have judges decide who are the winners of the Earth Day Fair art contest.
That's neat. Okay. Well, I didn't realize all that was going. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks, Jamie. I appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. We'll be right back after this. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you to catch my column Longworth at Large and Yes Weekly every week. It's available throughout the Triad, or you can go online, yesweekly.com. Back now on Triad Today, just about time for the roundtable, but a quick shout out to the good folks here at Senior Botanical Garden in Kernersville. Please visit the garden, look at the website, you can have your events here and all that good stuff. On my right, but always the political left, Ogie Overman is with us. Our special guest is Rosemary Plybound, the great broadcaster, and she's so sweet off camera. I said to her earlier, I said, Rosemary, I have a crush on you. She said, back off, Granddad. It was a special moment for me. And the guy I really respect and admire for his community service, David Daggett, is filling in for Keith. Okay, here we go, guys. Greensboro Mayor Nancy Vaughn is proposing a special 1% prepared food tax, which she says the city needs. It will net millions of dollars in revenue. Would you mind paying an extra 1% when you dine out or buy fast food, Ogie?
Well, we tried that about 20 years ago to try to attract a Major League Ball, to build a Major League Ball. It failed miserably then, and that was something tangible. This is something intangible. I don't think it's going to pass at all.
All right, Rosemary.
I don't know, but I know that I'm going to be cooking spaghetti at home on Monday nights, Taco Tuesday, chicken on Wednesday.
Yeah, so you're doing the preparing, so your family ought to pay you the 1%.
Good idea.
It seems like cities are in a financial pinch right now, and they have to find a way to relieve that pinch.
Right.
I'm personally not necessarily opposed to this. I worry how it affects the lower socioeconomic people, and I would not want to hurt them.
All right, in Washington, House Republicans are proposing to raise the retirement age for receiving Social Security benefits. They say this will keep people working longer, of course, and paying taxes longer, which they say will keep the Social Security system solvent. Guys, are you okay with raising the retirement age for collecting Social Security, Ogie?
That's a typical Republican bad idea yet again.
Don't like it. Rosemary.
I think something has to be done to make sure that Social Security lasts for people, and people are getting older and not saving as much as they should for retirement.
Yeah, because you're still very young, and there might not be a system for you. But David, what do you think?
I'm not very young, but things have changed, and I think all of our retirement systems need to be reevaluated. Life expectancy used to be 69, 70 years old. That's not the case anymore. I'm not assuming that this isn't the right answer, but I don't think we patch the road. I think we evaluate, straighten the curves, and rebuild the whole highway in a way that is feasible going forward into the future.
All right. Legislators in the state of New York are proposing to decriminalize adultery because they say that 1907 law is just too antiquated. We have a similar situation in North Carolina. Here, adultery is still a crime punishable by up to 60 days in jail. You think someone should go to jail for committing adultery, Ogie?
There's a lot of antiquated laws on your books still, and this is one of the worst. I mean, that's bad. Pathetic, yeah.
What do you think? It's a crime here in North Carolina. You go to jail for 60 days.
Well, if it were my husband, yes, he should go. I mean, if that's what you're asking me. Yeah, it does seem outdated, but not for him.
I personally am not going to go to jail.
Right.
However,
Right.
I think it's an antiquated law. The civil justice system takes care of domestic issues. We don't need the criminal law for this.
All right. An appellate court has ruled that cigarette packaging must include graphic images of people who've been diseased or left disfigured because of smoking. Cancer. Tobacco companies are going to appeal this by claiming that the requirement violates their First Amendment rights because they need the space on the packages for branding and messaging. Are you okay with requiring the display of graphic warnings like that on packs of cigarettes? Ogie?
Well, I'm certainly not taking up for the tobacco companies on this, but still, that's almost too much. I mean, people know by now.
Too graphic.
There's enough stuff on TV of people breathing through tubes and dying at 47.
Well, this is probably going to stay then. I mean, I don't think they're going to win the appeal. What do you think? Really graphic stuff should be on there?
I mean, I'm with Ogie. I mean, again, not trying to side with tobacco companies, and I definitely think that the messaging has to get out there, and they're doing that, and they're on the packaging, and as he said, the commercials, and we all know better.
Yeah.
We should know better now.
I agree with both of them, but for a different reason. The person that buys a pack of cigarettes is probably already addicted to cigarettes, and that's not what you're trying to do through this. How about putting that same money into a program to help people who are addicted to cigarettes?
Right.
A better direction with those funds, I think, would be more appropriate.
All right, while most hate speech is protected, it is a hate crime if that speech threatens violence, which is what Michelle Morrow did when she posted tweets about Obama and Biden saying they should be publicly executed. She's a Republican nominee for state superintendent of public instruction. Very quickly, guys and gals, should she be charged with a hate crime? Ogie?
Typically, I would say no. This woman is a lunatic. That's
way out
not
there.
only, she said stuff worse than that. She's in the Mark Robinson camp of idiocy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what it takes, something has to be done.
Yeah, Dave.
I don't think it's a hate crime. Hopefully, voters will weigh in and issue a judgment on this.
All right, finally, in this election year, I'm reminded of a Pew Research poll which said that 43% of Democrats refused to date a Republican and 24% of Republicans refused to date a Democrat. Guys and gals, did you ever date a person who belonged to a political party opposite from yourself, Ogie?
Years ago, I may have had a one-night stand with a Republican. But it was over after that.
Okay. And Rosemary might be your daughter. Right. So what? Have you ever dated somebody?
I don't even know. I've been with my husband since college, and anybody I dated before that, I don't even know what party they were part
I'm
of.
very happily married, thank you.
Well, we know that.
Yeah, me too.
So you haven't strayed politically.
I'll take the fifth.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have. Oh, except for this. The scientists now say that a dog's sense of smell is directly tied to his sense of vision, which might explain why when dogs sneeze, their contact lenses pop out. That doesn't make any sense, does it?
No.
All right. For all of us here, we're going to go date somebody from the opposite party. We'll see you next week.